I do have to get your thoughts on the wide receivers. I really do. Because I've seen what you've put out there. And here's the thing that I never quite understand. You do such a good job of holding your cards close to your vest of what you actually think. Now, you'll rank guys, and I would encourage everybody to go out there, check out DJ's top 50 list, check out his mock drafts. But his mock draft is always going to be a mixture of things that he's heard and his own evaluation. And so a lot of what you're saying out there is what you're hearing. Mm-hmm. And so when you throw out these like little tweets about, don't be surprised if it always piques my interest. And you threw it out like, hey, don't be surprised if Nabers is the first wide receiver taken. And I'm like, hold on a second. Is that a thing?
So here's the thing. When you talk to teams, and I've been fortunate enough to be around this league now for over 20 years. And a lot of the guys that I came up with, in the scouting side are running teams now. It just so we get to be your mid 40s. Those are the guys who are getting hired as general managers. So I was having a conversation with one general manager who picks in the 20s, and he was like, and he's got, what are you going to lie to me? He's not in a position to get any of these three guys.
Right.
So he's like, we have Nabers as the top wideout in our room right now as we're going through it. And he said, look, we love Marvin and we love Odunze, but Nabers has a club in his bag that they don't have, just in terms of the juice, the speed, tackle breaking, make you miss, all that stuff. Majority after the catch, what he brings. He's got a different gear, and we haven't seen him run yet. And I think people, I don't know that I guess we aren't going to see him run. I don't think he's, we're going to get a time on it, but he's ridiculously fast, and all the GPS stuff is really good there too. Marvin's is actually good too, but so that's where, when I hear that, and then when I go through, I have the majority of the tape for the year that I jam through. And now keep in mind, I got to get everybody done before the combine. So that's 330 guys I got to get done. So I can't wait for all of my tape to come in to get started. So when I did the wideouts, I didn't have the last 2 or 3 games, like including the bowl game, so I'd done everything up until that. So then finally we get through the combine, I get back home. I now, through NFL Films, get the rest of my videos. And I've got the whole catalog for the whole year. I can go, I want to spin through these wideouts one more time. So I see the whole year, and I'm like watching, like, okay, if I was divorced from any previous opinion, if I was divorced from knowing who these guys were, schools, helmets, everything, and you just watch their targets and you watch all the explosive plays this year that Nabers piled up, I could see a team talking themselves into that. Now, what I ended up doing, Joel, as a responsible adult, is for my own. So I'm saying, that's why I put out the tweet. There's some teams that are going to have it that way, and that's not just going to be that one team. There'll be other teams as well. So that's why I say, don't be shocked that there's an opinion out there that exists. Now, for my own opinion, which I'm, that's all I can be held responsible for, is how I rank them and how I stack them, not what I'm hearing or what I put in a mock draft. So I'm like, you know what? They always say, like, it's always to go back to where you first fell in love. So I went back with Caleb Williams, and I went back with Harrison Jr., with MHJ, and said, okay, these guys have been my number 1 and number 2 players through the whole process. I'm going to go back to watch all their 22 stuff of when I really, really fell in love with these guys, as most any evaluator did from that tape. And I came out of there emboldened personally to say, I strongly believe Caleb is the best quarterback in this class, and I strongly believe Marvin Harrison Jr. would be my number 1 receiver.
Yeah. I love Nabers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't not love Nabers, right? Right?
Oh, he's dynamic. He's got a jetpack on his back.
But Marvin Harrison Jr. is totally different. He was a 5th-year pro playing college football.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think the end of his college career was great. I thought, and this is what, if there's something that's spooky about Marvin Harrison Jr. to me, and I saw a ton of his games. I was around him, talked to him, saw him work, saw him catch off the jugs guns. You've talked to the people at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Every day he's working on the jugs. Like, the dude is a tireless worker. And the thing that starts to eat at me, the worst game I saw him play was the Michigan game.
Mm-hmm.
Worst one. I'd never seen him give up on a route like he did in front of that interception.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I was like blown away. Size of that game, scope of that game, pressure on his head coach, and that makes me nervous. And so then I hear your tweet. So I had to go back and watch. And so I went back and I talked with Brian Hartline. And again, I'm in the exact same boat. You go back and you watch his route running ability. You go back and watch, these times when Ohio State actually had to make plays and actually had to make first downs. It was him every single time. And he would win. You go watch him against Joey Porter Jr. last year on the road against Penn State.
For Joey.
And Joey's a really good player. And Marvin just ate him up. Totally ate him up.
Don't feel bad, though, because he did it to Kalen King this year as well.
Yes, he did. I mean, he ate up Kalen King bad. So I'm with you on that. And this whole wide receiver group, I think, is really deep. I think that.
So what about answer me this then? What would you do with Nabers versus Odunze?
So I can get talked into Nabers over Odunze because of my previous answer about I think Odunze played blackjack with the cards counted, because I think he played with the odds in his favor more. Not that Nabers didn't play with a great quarterback, because he did with Jaden Daniels, but Penix's accuracy and the ability to throw the football in the right spot was so uncanny. And so I can get talked into Nabers. Now I would take Odunze. I would take Nabers, and I don't know which guy I would pick as the second wide receiver.
So
I don't know.
I think all of these guys are close. I gave them all huge grades. I have Odunze over Nabers, and I'll give you, first of all, he had more contested catches than anybody in the country. So, and you can give Penix credit for some of those back shoulders and giving him good opportunities. But this dude is a war daddy in traffic. He is not afraid to work in there. He is not afraid of crowds, and he's coming away with the football.
And he's super calm in those situations.
Oh, yeah.
Very calm.
He's got late hands, and then he's got incredibly strong hands. And look, I kind of hear what you're saying in terms of I can be talked into it. Like Nabers, the explosives, he's going to give you those. I go back to it and say, from a quarterback standpoint, and I'll spin it to you this way, because this is how I got to that. To Odunze over Nabers was this. My definition of a number one receiver, everybody has a different one. My definition of a number one receiver is third down in the red zone when everybody in the whole stadium knows where the football's going and you can't do anything about it. To me, if I look at that criteria of how I define a number one receiver, I would stack Odunze over Nabers, because on third down, he can win and he doesn't have to be open to win. And then when we get into the red zone, his size is there's just such a massive difference in his size and his ability to play above the rim and do different things.
And another thing, a peek inside of our conversations that we always have, wide receivers in the playoffs have to win in traffic.
Yep.
There's not
play
free
strength
catches.
Is paramount. We say this every year.
There's not free catches, easy catches in the playoffs. That just doesn't happen. It's not a thing. There's not catch and run easy. There's not cheap offense in the playoffs. And Odunze gives you the opportunity to go out there and get earned yards.
Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.